So today is going to be the start of Operation Take Back My Farm because it's become overgrown with weeds. I'm behind. I've got deer tracks all over my plot that is supposed to be growing food for a farmer's market right now, and I just haven't been able to do that because I haven't had a way to protect my crops from being trampled and eaten. But today I'm changing that because I got a new kit that is going to cover my entire farm, and I'll show you that in this video. I'm really excited about having that. It's also going to give me season extension capabilities to be able to grow throughout the entire winter and into the spring next year. So stick around for this video. So behind me I have 2 rows of carrots. They're my last rows of carrots for this season, and I keep getting deer tracks through these rows of carrots, and they're hard enough to germinate on their own, but I don't need the deer destroying these little seedlings that have germinated in this one row and they're being eaten in the other row. So I'm going to cover them with a low tunnel kit that I got from Neversink farm. It's called their Lowcat tunnels. They have a kit that gives you 220 hoops, which for me will cover, my rows are about 45 feet long, and that's going to cover 22 rows of my farm, which is perfect. And I also got a frost coverings for all of these rows, which are going to go over those hoops. So the frost covering is rated to lower if the temperature is 32 degrees outside. The temperature underneath that frost covering will be 3.5 to 4.5 degrees warmer than the outside temperature. So it'll protect most of my crops that I'm growing throughout the winter and hopefully keep them alive. And that layered with a greenhouse plastic, you could have a greenhouse plastic on top of that frost blanket, and that creates a different microclimate in there, makes it even warmer. So that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm not going to add the plastic until later into this winter as it really starts to get cold, before deep freezes and snows. That'll protect the rows. But for now, I'm going to put up the hoops. I'm going to cover it with the frost blanket. Even though it's mid-August, it's still hot. It's going to raise the temperature a little bit as it starts to get a little bit colder later into August and September. As the temperatures cool down, it's going to help the carrots grow a little bit more. But at nighttime, I'm going to make sure that these rows are completely covered so that animals and pests can't get in there. So that's going to be a big bonus. I'm going to do that to all of my rows that have crops in them right now, like my lettuce rows that just keep getting eaten if they're not covered. So right now I do have insect netting over my lettuce, but I would prefer to have the hoops over them and the frost blanket over that, so at nighttime I could just completely cover it and make sure that nothing bad's happened to them. So that's what I'm going to do right now. Alright, so the reason I decided to go with these Neversink Lowcat tunnels over, there's another company I looked at, Modern Grower has a quick tunnel, it's called, but these low tunnels just seemed a bit easier to install, and I liked how this design has these bungees that go over each of the hoops to really tighten the plastic, or the whatever covering it is. And it looks like each of these also come with a carrying bag, so they'll be easy to keep them in storage when I'm not using them. So that's a nice touch. So these are the posts. Posts actually look a little bit thicker than I thought they were. They looked a little bit thinner in the videos that I watched of these. So that's good to see. So my goal with these, because we get some really intense winds here, is to space these about every 5 feet. So I should need approximately 11 posts, I think, for each of my rows. Looks like this is the part that goes into the ground, and this part with the hole stays right at ground level. I use this drill bit here to dig into the soil a little bit to get these initial rods in there. My soil is pretty rocky, so it was actually kind of hard to dig this down, but they're in there, and I made it so that the little loops here are just above the soil, because that's where the ground level, where the frost fabric is going to be down there. So I want it really close so there's wind and stuff can't really get under. So this is how it looks, and then this rod here goes, if I can get it in there, and then it goes all the way over here. So the top thing's pretty thin, but these are pretty thick, the original stakes here. So it's pretty rigid with that post in there. That's pretty cool. So I'm going to do that all the way down, get all the hoops on, and then get the covering over it, and probably call it a night. Something I'm doing here is going through and adding this electrical tape to these sharp. I think these edges are sharp, and just want to smooth it out so that when I'm lifting the frost covering up and down, it doesn't get caught on here going up. And when I pull it all the way up to harvest things or just to ventilate, when I'm pulling it down, I don't want it getting caught here. So I'm covering that. And I think I can still feel the edge a little bit, but it's not nearly as sharp. So I think this is hopefully going to make a big difference in not getting so many tears in the frost covering. Okay, so here is how I put all the plastic and row cover over these tunnels. So the first thing that I do, see, I have 2 layers here now, but you just start with one. And the first layer is the frost blanket. And I tied this up really tight. Not really tying it up, I just used a brick to basically scrunch up both sides and then hold the weight down on this side and then pull the frost blanket all the way to the other side. There's a crease in the center of it, and you want to make sure that it's over the top center, obviously, so it's centered and no sides are lifted up off the ground. And then pull it tight on the other side, do the same thing, put a weight down. And then we have these bungees that go under these little loops here, and the bungee goes over to the other one, and it holds the plastic really tight. And you can see the frost blanket is just staying down. It's kind of acting like an insect netting. Look at the lettuce inside here, ready to go. But it's holding the covering very tight. I can still lift and lower the plastic as I need to, but it holds everything so tight, and it's just really nice. We've had some windy days and nothing seems to move at all. So this is a big reason why I wanted to get these tunnels, because I just like the system of how that bungee cord really holds this tight. I've tried to do it more DIY with my own homemade tunnels, and it just doesn't work. and the plastic just wants to blow away. So these tunnels are awesome. If you have a large garden in your backyard, kind of like this, you might want to look into these. Can be kind of on the pricier side, I think, but I think they're worth it. So definitely worth it for the season extension and not having to worry about all of your plastic blowing away.